All right, Fred Warner's here. Fred, I'm so happy that you're joining us because I have to apologize to you. I was covering the Titans in 2018. That's the year you got drafted.
Yep.
And they needed a linebacker. And I did a lot of work. And I was like, man, this guy Fred Warner from BYU can play. This guy can hoop straight up. So they didn't draft you. The Niners did, though. The team I grew up rooting for. I was like, fired up. So I go on Twitter and I go, my draft hot take here is that Fred Warner is going to be a Pro Bowler. And I'm sorry for underselling that. Like, that's my bad. I'm so sorry. It's not just a Pro Bowler, it's 3-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first team All-Pro, Fred Warner in the building. So thank you so much for joining us, man. And I apologize for underselling you.
Hey, listen, there's no apology needed. I mean, the fact that you even thought I was going to be a Pro Bowler, if that is true, by the way,
I have the receipts.
Back then I had zero support from anybody except for the guys inside our building. So, I had to earn everything. I had to prove everything, which, that's how it is when you're a young player. You got to prove yourself. So, especially the little kid out of BYU who never played middle linebacker. So it was all right.
So you'd mentioned coming on. You have a newborn in the household now. Just how has that changed sort of life for you, your perspective on, the work-life balance that you got to have? And are you now like 10% stronger in all your lifts because you got that tattoo?
Yeah. I don't know if it's just all the lifting and all the protein, but I am stronger than I was before my child. And, it's been just the biggest blessing. I always continue to say it. He's been awesome. You might hear him, kind of, doing his little thing out there with my wife, but he's been so awesome, healthy and just a happy baby. He's been fairly easy. Obviously all kids that kind of don't sleep that, all the way through the night early on, but he's starting to get a little routine down, and like you mentioned it, like kind of balancing that work-life balance is the new challenge of mine because, I am so dedicated to what I do, but I'm even more dedicated to my family and being there for them. So, it's been good.
For sure. I wanted to ask you about, the Super Bowl hangover stuff, because on the outside, I think it's really easy for fans, the football punditry, to just kind of say, this team has been through a lot of deep runs and without, winning a Super Bowl. And, in the moment, like after the game, you think, or we were thinking maybe like, man, it's got to be so hard to climb the mountaintop and not reach that point. But at the same time, it's like you're lining up next year and whatever happened the year before isn't going to be on your mind. Like, just like what's the emotional and physical toll like of getting to that point and then trying to get over the mountaintop the next season? Like, is the Super Bowl hangover a thing, or is it something that the outside is just kind of, something that we latch onto maybe a little bit too much?
Yeah, I think, it is a real thing. I 100% think it is. People are always going to refer back to that 2020 year when we were coming off my first Super Bowl, and that was a strange year, obviously, because of COVID, and we did have a lot of injuries. So I didn't even feel like we had an opportunity to really contend for that title. But you go on the opposite end of it and you look at Kansas City and the fact that they've been able to repeat as champions. I feel like that's even harder to do than losing the Super Bowl, because when you win it, where's the, how are you going to pull from within to really get that motivation to go back and even go harder to attain it again, because people are coming at you at that point and they're gunning for you. So, all that to say, it, like you mentioned, it doesn't really matter. You got to get right back on the horse and get back to work and make sure that you are better this time around than you were last time. Because if we all just show up and we're like, hey, we're going to be the exact same team, we're going to get back and we'll figure out a way to pull it off next time. Like, that's just not how it works. You got to be better than before. And also learn from those mistakes, which we will.
And that's what I was going to ask. Is that something you can really like learn from? I know that here in Sacramento, Mike Brown, the Kings coach, always talks about learning from losses. And, you want to win every game, but when you lose, you got to take something from it. Is that something that you guys are able to do, in 2019, then 21, and then 22, and now 23? Do you feel like you're more calloused to maybe mitigate some of the effects of that hangover?
Yeah, 100%. I know I've learned from it. I always look back on the tape, and that's the hardest part, honestly, is really is watching it, because it is painful to watch, when you didn't achieve that thing that you were looking that you set out to achieve. And, there are little things within that game. Of course, everybody wants to point out the fact that the whole coin toss thing and yada, yada, and we can go all day about that. But there were so many moments in that game to seal the deal, right? Or to really put them away before it even got to the end of the game. And we just didn't take advantage of those opportunities. So there's plenty to get better from, things to learn. I've learned, unfortunately, too much in my career so far, and I'm done learning. I want to go out there and put it to work.
What was your reaction when you saw you guys got Aaron Rodgers and the Jets week 1? Because I know you and Aaron sort of have a unique history, and there's that that famous video of him talking to you and telling you that you're the best linebacker in the game after one of those games against the Packers. Just what's it like with you and Aaron, and what was your reaction to seeing he's going to be across from you week 1?
Yeah, no, I was hyped. I was pumped up, and playing on Monday Night Football to start the season is always a great start. And like you mentioned, I do have a unique relationship with Aaron, and I'm always forever grateful and in debt to him for the love that he did show me. Going in my 3rd season, sometimes that's what it takes in order to kind of put yourself on the map, is the nod from a guy who's been an MVP and been a Super Bowl champion, who has the respect of the league, because their words mean a lot, and so I always take that. I don't take that lightly, and I try to do the same, for the young guys coming up in this league. Now that I do have that respect, to be able to kind of give other guys their respect as well. So I'm excited, man. It's gonna be a great game.
This is gonna be your 7th year in the league, which is pretty wild. Did you know this is your first time opening at home in front of fans?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you got to add that in front of fans part. Yes. Because in 2020 we opened up at home, but it was no fans. Yeah, it is crazy.
That's nuts. Where do you follow the schedule release at all when it comes out?
I just looked at the thing as a whole after it had come out.
Okay. Very good.
So what when schedule does come out, because there's a lot of talk about the rest disparity, and it was something you guys dealt with last year. Is that a real thing? Like, do you guys feel it? Do you feel it when a team is coming off a bye week versus when you might have, like, the famous game last year might be the Cincinnati game, right? You guys have the short week coming off the Monday night game against Minnesota. You're coming home playing a team that's coming off a bye. Do you actually feel that on Sundays, the rest disadvantage?
Not really. I wouldn't say so. I think more than anything, it is probably more mental than actual physical. I think that Cincinnati game, we laid an egg. I think we didn't come out. We weren't prepared. We didn't play the way that we were supposed to play. So regardless of if they were coming off a bye or not, we had no chance to win that game because of how we performed, and it wasn't because we were like tired or gassed out. We were at a point in the year where we had suffered back-to-back losses, and our morale took a hit. So that bye for us after the Bengals game was huge because we needed that reset. But you can't really think too much into all that. Obviously, you'd rather have the advantage rather than the disadvantage. But they're not going to feel sorry for you at the end of the year.
No doubt. One of the big changes for you guys this offseason, you got a new defensive coordinator, Nick Sorensen. And I've always wondered, like, with an offensive coordinator, it's really easy to understand how different things can change with an offense. But with a defense, it feels a little bit more to the layman like, yeah, you go up there and you line up and play defense. So how does having a new defensive coordinator change things for you on that side of the ball?
For me specifically, I do have the green dot, so I'm the one that's hearing that communication with the defensive coordinator. That does take time to kind of develop that connection, and I know it's going to be seamless with Nick. I think having him around the building these last couple of years have been awesome. I love Nick. I love what he's about. I love the fact that he's played the game for a long time. He understands ball, is a great leader, and understands that we haven't played our best defense as of late, and that we need to return to that. And so it's been crystal clear what the standard is moving forward. And I'm really excited about it. I think it'll be a great hire and move going forward.
You mentioned, you guys didn't play your best defense. Well, what was different? What was different about last year? What was different about, you guys not not playing to that standard that you've set in previous seasons?
Well, yeah, let me first just say that, I mean, we did some amazing things. I think we finished third in the run game. I think our defensive backs took a huge jump last year. Obviously, Mooney becoming an all-pro. I mean, we did some really good things, and we played good defense. But for as long as I've been here, it's been about being the number one defense and about dominating teams, and not just playing good here, playing good there. We got called out on a couple of things, especially late in the year, after that Lions game and our effort and all sorts of things. And that should never be a part of the equation, in my mind. And, I always look at myself first on how I could be better and make those adjustments, and I will be better. And it's just about, instilling a standard and upholding that, is just because it's been here since that standard has been here since I've been here, doesn't mean that it's just going to continue to be that way. You got to continue to uphold and push that standard.
Another change for you guys defensively is Brandon Staley being in the building. Have you gotten to interact with him at all? And what's it been like having him around?
Yeah, it's been great, man. Love Coach Staley. And we've had plenty of talks already, on the defensive meeting room. He sits right next to me, and we've been able to kind of just talk back and forth about little things. It's great to kind of pick his brain, because he has seen so much football. And I think, he's really detailed and knowledgeable about the defense side of the ball. And I've already learned a lot from him, and I'm going to continue to try to pick his brain as much as possible.
Yeah, but one thing it seems like Kyle Shanahan has tried to do on the defensive side is sort of stick with that scheme that you guys have been running really ever since you got there, while also sort of infusing new voices, maybe somebody like Staley to maybe throw some fresh ideas, or like, what's that balance like between, if it's not broke, don't fix it, but also like be willing to maybe evolve and change some of the things or some of the ways you think about playing defense?
Yeah, I mean, we have to evolve. I think in order to get better in this league, you have to be willing to, to change a little bit. That doesn't mean we have to completely throw out what we've been doing to this point, because like you said, it has been working. But teams know our weaknesses. They know our strengths. And, for me, it's like, all right, from a schematic standpoint, you can draw up whatever play you want, but at the end of the day, you need your players to execute what you're trying to run in the first place to a T in order to go out and dominate. Because, they can sit in their meeting room and draw plays to try to beat us. But if we play them with that overwhelming effort, violence, finish, like those sort of things, that clears all that
up. Just speaking of changes on the defensive side, we talked about the coaching staff. One of the other pretty significant changes, particularly for you, is Arik Armstead's exit. It's a player you've played behind since you got there to San Francisco in 2018. How do you guys go about mitigating that loss, and what does his exit mean for your defense?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's a huge loss for us. Man, love Arik, love what he brought to our team and what he was able to teach me as one of the older veterans and the longest tenured Niner since I've been here. So I am excited for him and his new journey over with Jacksonville. But I mean, that does leave a kind of a void in our defense. But the thing I will say is we brought in some players that can really roll, that can really disrupt things up front. And it's not just going to be a matter of, we're going to plug this player in to replace Arik. Like, it's going to be by committee. And I think we got those guys right now in the building to wreak havoc up front, because that's where it starts, is up front at the end of the day. And I'm really, really excited about that group. I think it's going to look really good.
So, I covered the team being around Arik a little bit. Obviously not the loudest, most outspoken dude, but somebody sort of a quiet, lead by example type. But it seemed like lately, at least publicly, he's been a little bit more vocal and a little bit more willing to show his personality. What was Arik like behind the scene, and what are some things that that made him the player he was, the person he was in the building, that the general public might not know about him?
Yeah, I mean, I think Arik could connect with everybody in the locker room. He had that presence about him. He was soft spoken. It wasn't the loudest cat, but guys respected the way that he went about his work. The way that he went about his business, and he was a pro's pro. We had the nickname for him, Blueprint, because he just did everything the right way. And people don't know about all the injuries and stuff that he was dealing with even last year, leading up into the Super Bowl, and he was dedicating all of his time, even away from his family, to just make sure that he was ready to go for that game. and played in a big way for us in that Super Bowl. So, I got all the respect in the world for Arik for the way that he played the game and the teammate that he was. There's a reason why he was a captain, even though he was soft-spoken. But, yeah, man, we all had huge respect for him.
How's Dre Greenlaw doing coming back from his injury?
He's doing great, man. As good as he can be, right? And I think for him, it's mental right now. Just it's boring. It's boring. It's monotonous. Going through rehab every day, doing the same thing, seeing small changes. You're not going to see huge leaps and bounds in your recovery because it is a long process with an Achilles. But he's looking good. He's doing good. He's got the right mindset about it, and he'll be back in no time.
So take us to that moment in the Super Bowl where you look over and you see him on the ground, and obviously, I think it seemed pretty clear what the injury was, or that it was at least significant. What's it like in that moment as a teammate, as a friend, to know that, like, man, we got a game to go win, but also, like, damn, I feel for my guy over here. Like, well, what was going through your head? What were those emotions like? Yeah,
it was overwhelming for sure. I mean, we had talked the last few weeks about how, he had some, Achilles soreness and was dealing with it. The trainers were treating him hard. He was doing everything possible to make sure that he was good, right? And, there was an overcompensation that happened, and obviously what happened. But, yeah, it was tough, right? And I think the thing that I thought about in that moment was I want to obviously win this for him, and that's what I told the team at half. And obviously we didn't get that done, but it was that's my brother, and I'm always gonna have his back, and I wanted to get that dub for him. But we'll be back. He'll be back better than ever. We'll be back, and we'll make it happen.
One of the keys to you guys getting back is under center with Brock Purdy. What have you seen from him on the defensive side? I know you guys don't get to be together a lot, being on separate sides of the ball, but just from your perspective, what kind of growth have you seen from him over the last season and a half or so and into this offseason?
Yeah, man. I mean, people got to understand that and remember that he's only going into year 3. But, I mean, you'd think that he's going into year 7 like me, because that's just the presence that he holds and the type of guy that he is. And I think what's been cool to see is just his growth and maturity as, a leader in our locker room and the guy, right? And he's earned every bit of that in the way that he's worked and the way that he's played, especially in the biggest moments. He's had a lot of experience within just a short 2 years. And, yeah, his best ball is ahead of him, which is scary, because he has played at an MVP level. And, when the time does come, I know he'll be the reason why we have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl.
So you had I forget which year it was, but in training camp with Brandon Aiyuk, you guys had a run-in, and it was sort of before his ascension, before he was an All-Pro. And I think it was revealing about him for sure that he was a young guy willing to, a receiver willing to go at a linebacker in practice. And now to see where he's at and to see that, he's definitely not a finesse receiver, like he can run routes and do all those things, but he's also willing to stick his nose in there. Mm-hmm. How have you noticed Brandon Aiyuk from that moment? How did that impact sort of how he is as a football player, his personality, and maybe the physicality and willingness to block that it takes? Like, and how much credit do you think you deserve for his growth in that area?
Zero credit. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the reason he's an All-Pro. Absolutely not. But the thing I will say is, man, I loved Brandon from the moment he joined our team. Man, I saw a lot in him. I thought he had obviously a tremendous amount of talent in his body, but, he had the right mindset. You could see it early on. And, he did kind of have some woes early on with I don't know, things that he was going through with the coaches or whatever it may be. And, I wanted to try to pull out the best version of him as often as I could. And I kind of could see what was good for him in terms of like pulling the best out of him. Cause you got to kind of treat different guys differently depending on how they receive, that sort of competition, right? Like some guys can't take that. And with him, it was productive, and he continued to bring that dog out of him that I feel like everybody got to see this past season. And that's the greatest part of his game, is that ability to block and get his nose dirty, because he can win one-on-one matchups all day with his feet. The route running ability, the separation is the best I've ever seen. But that other stuff is what makes him different. So, I'm excited for him and what he's getting ready to earn.
So you had the summer where, you had the uncertainty with your contract, or at least you hadn't signed the contract yet. Obviously, BA is going through something similar right now. What's that like as a player when like, man, I'm not practicing with the guys. I'm not, I really want to get out there, but at the same time, I got to make sure the financials are all in line. Like, what's that balance like? And what was your anxiety like before you were able to actually ink that deal?
Yeah, it's a really strange time, right? Because all before that, you've been there. The expectation is you are going to be there. You're going to be around your teammates, and you're going to practice and get better and all those sort of things. But then when the contract time comes, you do have to be a little bit selfish in that situation because this is something that's going to provide for your family and secure you for the rest of your life, something that you have earned. So it's a difficult situation. There's no like one size fits all at all in this situation. You see all different guys go through it, and it's different for each guy. But the thing I've noticed is the more money that's on the line, and it usually is a little bit more trickier to handle. So, but hey, it'll get done in good timing.
And we didn't get to see much from D Winters or Jalen Graham last season. What did you see from them behind the scenes?
Yeah, two really good, really talented young linebackers that are made of the right stuff, man. I mean, it's tough when you're in a room with some of the best in the league at the position, but I really love Jalen, really love D and the things that they can bring to our defense. And they're just continuing to get better, right? I mean, it's about just when your opportunity does come, are you ready for that opportunity? And are you going to seize that moment, right? And so I think they're both heading in the right direction. They both look great right now in OTAs. I'm excited about both those guys.
Excellent. All right. You've been super generous with your time. We got some rapid fire questions for you. We'll get to what you're doing with Abbott and Real Madrid to beat malnutrition, and we'll get you out of here. So rapid fire time. All right.
All right.
What's your favorite pregame meal?
Ooh, it depends on breakfast or a late game, but
Let's
for a late game, pasta.
Pasta. Excellent. Who wins in a fight, Robert Saleh or D'Amico Ryans?
Oh no, I can't answer that one. I don't know about that. Let me go.
All right. Best trash talker on the 49ers besides yourself.
Oh boy. Dang, that's a toughie. I don't know. Let's go with Dre Greenlaw.
All right. Best trash talker you've played against.
Ooh. Damn, that's a toughie too.
I know you got into it with DK Metcalf.
Yeah, but he's not much of a trash talker. He's just kind of like I'm big. But yeah, I don't know. That's tough, man. I don't come across a lot of talkers on the offensive side.
All right.
Did Taylor Swift come up when you're playing Travis Kelce?
I mean, you have to answer questions all week long. Yeah, you have to answer all questions all week long to the media about
but during the game.
Yeah.
Like trash talk. Like does that come up? Like during the game, does Taylor Swift's name come up?
No. I didn't say anything about Taylor to Travis, and I don't think anybody else did. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
You don't get enough credit for having elite hair. Do you have any hair care tips?
Dreads are really easy to maintain because you really don't do anything, right? You give them a wash here and there to make sure they stay fresh, but I mean they're pretty low maintenance. That's why I love them.
Excellent. Who won the Drake and Kendrick beef?
I didn't really keep up with that much. I'm not really on the socials anymore, but because I don't really know what they were beefing about in the first place. But I heard the songs. I think Kendrick's song was probably a little bit better than Drake's, but I don't know what's going on anyway.
Who's the player on the 49ers that doesn't get enough love publicly, in your opinion?
Probably Diamador Lenore.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's what I would have picked too. What's your favorite 49ers memory?
That's a little hard. I don't know. I mean, the one that immediately stuck out of my mind was my first pick six Saturday Night Football, LA Rams, right before the half down the left sideline to put us up. That was a pretty good one.
That was big time.
Do OTAs matter? Is it like, I mean, I know obviously like getting on the field matters and you're a professional and you're not going to say it doesn't matter, but on the outside, it's, you know, fans and media people, we all like to overreact to everything. Right. So like, what's the value of OTAs from a player's perspective? Are we making too much of it, or are we not making enough of it?
Yeah. I mean, I think the media makes a lot of things. They make that's their job. But OTAs, I do think OTAs are important. That's why I show up every year. Phase 1, 2, and 3, I'm always here. You know, I think it's important for building that camaraderie amongst the guys, personally, to, you know, get better in my game, because it's not like basketball, you know what I'm saying, where in the offseason you can go to a court and play pickup with football, right? Like you can only practice football by playing football, which necessarily we're not even necessarily playing football. We're in shorts and T-shirts and running around trying to line up and do those sort of things. You know what I'm saying? So I do think it's important, but I think it also shouldn't be blown out of proportion for the guys who aren't here, because, you know, a lot of these reps that people are getting are more important for the younger guys who need to learn the scheme, right? And at the end of the day, this isn't real football right now. So, you know, whatever guys need to do in order to get themselves in shape and get ready for the season, that's what's important.
You're here on behalf of health technology leader Abbott to discuss their campaign with Beat Malnutrition with Real Madrid. What are you doing with them?
Yeah, man. You know, we talked about it to start with my son. You know, he's allowed me to really focus in on not only my nutrition, but his nutrition, you know, making sure that he has the right foods and is growing big and strong. Because unfortunately, you know, I do understand that not everybody has that opportunity to have access to good nutrition. You know, 1 in 3 people around the world suffer from malnutrition. And growing up, I did play a little bit of soccer. You know, I got my footwork right, and I loved Ronaldo. And you know, I understand the positive impact that soccer does have on the world. And so that's why I did team up with Abbott, you know, the global health tech leader, and Real Madrid. And they're debuting a new celebration this year for the end of the league year, and hopefully you'll see me do it this year. We'll see. But yeah, it's just all in the hopes to raise awareness for malnutrition. And they're doing some great things with screenings and nutrition education, awareness through sports. So if you want to learn more, you go to beatmalnutrition.com. You know, it's a really good cause.
Awesome. Fred, this has been great. Thank you so much for your time, man. We really appreciate it. And you have a great one. Okay.
All right, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Fred.
Thanks, Fred.
Yep.